So I thought I'd do. So I got a new mic as requested. But I'm gonna try and make this look. I'm not gonna come on a video. I'm just gonna talk about solutions, right? Because that's a big thing in a lot of these circles. Like, what solutions do you have? And it's hard to, like, when you got a bunch of people asking you. Oh, first I want to. Yeah, the point is, here's the point. All right, this is what we're trying to avoid, guys. Right? This is not the objective. Okay? This is not the objective for ultimate human flourishing, no matter what anybody thinks. And there's certain practices that are going to lead us more towards this. So this is the opposite of what I desire as a human being, personally. And I don't know what you desire. Maybe this is what you're about. You're like, yes, this is what I want. Right? The objective is this. All right? This is the objective. This was the objective when I was growing up. This has always been the objective. This is the objective. Okay, so if this is the objective, why are the decisions certain people are making who are at the heads of certain societies that are affecting macro populations, if this is the objective, why is it seem like this is where we're headed, right? Well, why would they do that? Is it that they don't know? Maybe they're in the second picture, the picture I was just showing. Maybe they spend all their time here, right? But because they're not really doing it and they're just faking it, the rest of the world is experiencing this at increasing rates. Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. It's not even, it's happening, right? And if you're in America and you are an urban population and you have your homies and you drive from place to place, walk straight for 3 days and then come back to me on whether I'm wrong or right. Just get your wallet and your phone at home and walk straight for 3 days. And see how that works out for you. If you make it back home, let me know. Especially these kids on the GPS, right? But solutions. Okay, so like there's what I would wish, what I wish can happen, what I wish I could do, what can happen, what I can do, what I could do with more, basically, and what is more, and what is that, and what are real solutions to avoid this, and go more towards like the first, the other one, right? Avoid this, go to this, right? Now, what I wish I could do, I wish this hat gave me magic powers that let me immediately just transfer all of the information and my experiences into someone else's brain in a second by looking at them. And they would immediately understand what's at stake, and they would be like, how can I help? And they drop everything else they were doing. You know what I mean? And I can do that to some extent. Like, there are people who figured it out, but like, they got to live too. You know what I mean? And because we're going more like this, those of us who are like, it doesn't look like we can win and become this, it looks like ultimately if we can't figure shit out real fast, that's where we're going to end up. Well, we're all like gearing up to like be this dude right here, being like, man, this sucks, right? But at least we'll be here. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people who are like, no, I won't be here. I'm going to be a blinking light in there. And that's how I'm going to handle the situation. Look, bro, you could be a blinking light in there right now, man. Just end your life already, right? There's no reason we should all have to live like this so you can be a dot on a computer screen. This is my opinion on the whole situation, right? And you're outvoted anyway, because it's not just about me and you. It's all about like the trees. You see any birds flying around? You think the birds make it through those firestorms all right? You think the geese are going to be happy about this fucking situation here? So these dudes who want to be a blinking light are technically outvoted by the entire natural ecosystem, right? Now, I'm sure in this picture, right, if we get it here, like, because we're at a fork in the road, right, if we get here, okay, then it's like there's definitely AI helping with all of this in a nice communal fashion, a la Mass Effect, instead of the Borg. Right? And if people don't know what the Mass Effect video game is, or don't know what Star Trek is, they don't know what that means, right? The Borg are from Star Trek. If you know what the Borg are, the Mass Effect are like, the AIs in the Mass Effect are friendly, at least in the first game, right? But it's just like, these are just concepts to help us talk about archetypical reality, right? But the objective is not to go here, right? Now, this is where we're going. if we reverse course drastically, this is where we can make it, right? But that's a matter of information and movement, and there are things coagulating and stagnating humans' ability to actually communicate as a global species who are in it for survival at this point, because, oh Jesus Christ, the excesses of the industrial society when left unchecked and of certain cultural practices are leading us into a hellscape, and the people leading us there may not even be aware they're leading us there. All right, solutions. What's the solution? How do we get here from there, right? Well, you're going to have a portion of Mad Max. And the earlier you catch this, the less Mad Max you have. In fact, if you catch this too late, you might get Mad Max for all of eternity, right? If as opposed to this. And if you don't know what Mad Max is, watch Road Warrior. You know, I mean, it's romanticized, but like really think about a society like that. Waterworld's good too, right? It's just a representative archetype for a scavenger society on top of a decayed superpower, right? It's just an archetype for that. Okay, so what can I do? All right, so or what could I do maybe? Like ideally, right? Ideally, this information is going to percolate through some brain who actually has the ability to give me the resources to get the things I need done, right? But what are those resources, right? It's not money won't get it done, right? In some cases it might get it done, but that's because it's getting other people to do what I need them to do, right? The first thing is you need a base operations, right? I have a structure I would like. If I could pick any structure on Earth, I'd just pick that structure, right? And the reasons for that are economic and logistical, right? It's 3 stories, has multiple rooms. You can hold a team there, right? It has the second and first story. There's a hole in the middle, so people on the downstairs can yell at people, can just talk directly to people who are downstairs, people who are upstairs, right? Not closed off. Total free flow of information. Underneath, it has a large abandoned pool area that could be refitted into a chemistry lab. Why is a chemistry lab important? Well, there's a lot of things in chemistry that are happening right now or that seem to be tied to certain practices revolving around harvesting humans like cows, which is not a great social practice to have, right? If the reason they're doing it can be synthesized in the modern age, then it would be possible to emulate that for a larger portion of the populace at a less of a cost to the rest of the human, at the less of a cost to everybody else, right? If younger minds were given access to better equipment. But the reality situation is, stop bothering me. But the reality situation is, I lost track. The reality situation is that's a good base of operations. You're going to need a base of operations because you're going to need a team of people, right? And it really is going to have to be like that scene from fucking the Armageddon movies at this point to actually get things done, to arrest things quick enough, right? Okay, now what's the team? Okay, chemists, I already mentioned, because I trust them and I know them. I know they're concerned with the flourishing of the natural world. They just came off a government project where they were tracking an explosion in an algae bloom that's just decimating some fish populace somewhere, which is probably ultimately related to the general stagnation of the global sphere because of the bottling of water. Just one more symptom of the core disease, right? But as far as I can tell, she's like, they're never going to figure it out, and she's deciding to retire in a small tropical community far away from the ills of society, and who could blame her? So she's never going to work unless she's given access to the equipment she needs to affect the type of change that needs to be affected, right? And I don't trust chemists outside ones that I actually know personally and who I can vouch for. And someone who's been doing it since they're 6 years old, who has a PhD in chemistry, would be a good choice for that position, right? The fact that she's a woman complicates things, right? Because there's a million reasons that complicates things, right? Okay, because like people do not understand the desperate circumstances of this society. So they need this. These people need a safe place to operate and do what they need to do to work, right? The next person I would get is I get my buddy, and he's just a private military contractor, right? So I could probably just pay him to do this if I could get someone to foot the bill, since avoiding this is not enough to motivate him, right? He's like, look, that's future generation kid stuff. I already live in Warhammer 40K universe. It can't get much worse than that. Everything's chill, right? But he would work for the security of his own family and stuff like that, and he deserves it. He's a military veteran, right? And so I would have him as the educated professional talk to whoever runs the purse strings and figure out a deal to hire him as a security specialist. He already does VIP protects in like foreign countries and stuff, and select a team that understands, has the mental acuity and imagination like he does to understand that what we're navigating here is what paradigm we want as human beings to end up in as a society. This, which I would way vastly prefer, or this, right? And we're trying to avoid this, right? And just telling him about the problem is not enough, even though he understands it. I don't know why. You know, in my perfect world, if once given a full view of the information, how could you not drop the work, right? I have another friend I have like 3-4 people like that, from various backgrounds, everything from the street to growing up where they used to make V2 rockets, right? And I can't fucking pay these people, so I can't get them to work for the flourishing of society, right? You know what I mean? All full time, because they can't bet that I'm right, because they've been surrounded by doomsday predictions since they were fucking 2. Everything from the Christian Armageddon to Y2K, right? But I'm not talking about predictions. I'm talking about ground level observations as I'm traveling around society in a diffuse pattern, like taking multiple random samplings of multiple cultures across the country, right? And the reality of the situation is, this would be the beginning, right? So you have a small team now. All right, so the next thing, what else needs to happen in this total picture? All right, we need a currency of that somehow can track the veracity of people's statements. Well, I met a dude, this guy would have to be included to some extent, but he already wants to do this. We would just have to empower him to do it and make sure he was actually doing it, right? He wants to make a social networking program where you can only add people if you're within Bluetooth range of each other. And so you literally are adding each other in real life, and then those connections create the cryptocurrency that culture trades on, right? So we're actually valuing travel and intelligence, and the amount of crypto you could be rewarded would be tied into the amount of steps you've done, right? Not the amount you've driven, just the amount of steps you've done. Like, because your step trackers tied into a step tracker. All right, this guy's right 50,000 steps. You know, he knows more. His crypto's worth more, right? Like, you know, or not his crypto. Like in the exchange, right? When he generates crypto, he's just adding yours to his. Well, you know what I mean? As a way to back that app societally, right? I'm pretty much 99% convinced now, based off some basic things that I've learned that many people have not learned, that come from a place of expertise, that we are already almost totally cloud processed out, which means the idea that we're going to get rid of Wi-Fi, or that AI is going to allow us to get rid of Wi-Fi at this point, is silly. So we need to just manage it in a better way. But those technical questions are beyond me, and I couldn't contract anybody on that or act on anything like that with better information. So that's going to have to fall by the wayside. But as a start of just getting people moving around society again, rewarding them monetarily with a cryptocurrency that is backed by literally the amount of feet you've walked, that you cannot hand to people that you haven't met in real life, is a good way to get there. Also, it occurs to me, if the cities are decaying and how far along the cities are, if this all drops out at once, they're going to need ways to get out and supply runs, right? So ideally what you do is you have we come in peace, prepared for war type mentality that is back culturally and societally, and is obvious and out on social media and out on Instagram, so everyone can see what's happening. Everyone's obvious about what the cause is, avoiding this, and what we're prepared to do to avoid this, which is anything and everything, guys. And if you're not on that boat, we're enemies we're still in diplomacy right now. So if you are my enemy and this is what you seek, just come talk to me. Maybe give me a chance to convince you that maybe instead of this is quite nice too, and you'll still have Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? I'm talking solutions, Ryan.
2 hours, Doug.
Huh?
2 hours, Doug.
Nice. But you want those vehicles on diesel as a temporary. Like, eventually you want everything on some kind of magnet engine, ideally, right? Look, the real situation is, check it out. Dude took a car, Hot Wheels car, glued a magnet to the front, put a stick on it, put a magnet over here, let the car go, the car drove, right? Well, instead of magnets glued to a Hot Wheels, you had really high-powered columns inside of an engine block with a gear that moves this back and forth. Right. Well, now you're running a car off magnetism, and you don't need batteries to do that. But is the industrial destruction of the Earth in order to switch over to magnets even possible at this point? Well, let's not try to destroy anymore. We need to get into a system of reclamation. That was beyond me at this point, right? Okay, because I hate to break everyone. The solution is not I get a bunch of money and then I pay people to invent a machine. All right, because people have been running off that operation. It's not working. You know. I would talk to my homie Ryan, who is a good buddy of mine, which I have to redo this whole fucking thing now. Fuck it. There's a million Ryans out there. But he's supposed to have connections to a larger organizational structure, and I would talk to them seriously about, basically at some point, I need to take a trip up to wherever Jefferson capital is supposed to be, where the political regime is centered out of, where they have the most legal knowledge of people who are actually part of the movement to secede is Jefferson State. They're up wherever they're at. I don't know where that's at right now. I think it's Shasta. Eureka? They're over by Eureka or Shasta. But I have to go up there, and I have to meet these people, and I have to be like, hey guys, here's the situation I'm seeing, because they're far removed. They're up there in the mountains. They don't know. They're like Zeus, right? And and the thing is because of the corruption of the government right now, that's obvious to everybody, right? Well, the same reason this is not, we don't already have a state of Jefferson is because of that corruption, and it's demonstrable, and they have all that information. But I need to go talk to someone and suss out that it's not an agent provocateur, because you would be amazed at the amount of political groups who claim to be wanting change, but are really just trying to institute that same system for themselves off the backs of well-meaning parishioners. Right? And so it's just like, if you're not in total control of the situation, that's what it is, you know? And so if I could make all that happen, I would make all that happen, right? I would make all that happen. I would track down this dude's name who I can't remember, and I feel disrespectful because of all the people I've met in life. He's actually been one of the most useful people for getting anything done of value and preserving our culture and people's lives that I've met. And I can't remember his fucking name, because when we met randomly at the bar, he just happened to have a series of connections. And one of those connections was he's from a military family, and he knows Admiral McRaven, right? And well, I'd really like to fucking activate that again. And like, yo, have you sent Admiral McRaven my YouTube videos? Right? Like the solution, that's the best I can do with ground level intelligence, right? With just our researchers. Oh, the convoy. You need everything on diesel, because there's this dude, I would grab him up. He's in the Midwest somewhere. And I'd put him at this fucking pad, the headquarters, and I would have him produce these machines he makes, which are like, they revert plastic microwave paralysis. Thank you. Yes. It converts plastic waste to diesel gasoline, and the byproduct is carbon, which is good for planting and for jet fuel. Didn't even think of that, but good point, right? And so we can have literally a convoy of vehicles that can produce the fuel that it needs in the short term as a stopgap solution, right? Because diesel's not that hard. That produces the fuel that it needs as it travels from the plastic waste within the environment, right? And we can take plastic waste and trade for food in terms of making the Mad Max reality as hospitable as possible to everybody.
Sure.
Right? But at this point, that's not available without some of the technological resources that are being currently leveraged to create things that need batteries, when the batteries need African kids in mines, when we have tons of shit laying around. Right? So like that's like starter solutions, right? Now, ideally, if all those things happened, that could be leveraged into some type of conversation in the global space where the cross age generational gap can be sorted out, right? I'm not preparing for any of that to happen, even though all that is technically possible right here, right now, today, if other people would just get on board and there was some way to ensure they're not sacrificing everything they've built up until now to help me drive to Eureka and meet these people and extend the conversation, right? But the resources on the ground level, like in society, do not exist to make something as simple as that happen, in my experience, right? Even though something as simple as that not happening means we're a day closer to that and a day farther away from this, right? And so, yeah, when I'm saying solutions, like I have solutions, right? What I don't have is resources. If you have resources and no solutions, we should talk so you can vet me and I can vet you, right? About intent, and what the ultimate goal is before we even decide to work together. Because like I don't like the objective, guys, is to avoid this, right? And so I really don't care about dating and And when I comment about dating or intersexual dynamics or politics, it's not coming from a place of I'm invested. It's coming from a place that says I'm invested. Yeah, I'm invested in not going here and going here. Right? And if you can't communicate with me on that level, man, we don't have a lot to communicate about these days. And that's just reality.